Welcome to the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast, where we remember a time when stacks of cards were held together with rubber bands and Mickey mantles were put in bike spokes. We hope you will enjoy and reminisce as you come along with us as we tell stories about the baseball cards from the Golden Age of Baseball. We will examine the state of the vintage baseball card market and talk to some of the greatest collectors in the hobby. You won't be hearing us talk about any chrome or shiny cards here. Now, to take you on this retrospective journey, here's your host, direct from the shallow end of the gene pool, my son, Mike Moynihan.
Yo, and hello, everybody. Mike here. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast. And pucker up, Buttercup, because this is going to be the first of probably several episodes pertaining to the National 2024 in Cleveland, Ohio. And I am so excited. As I'm recording this today, I am, 7 weeks from today that I will be at the show. I will be in Cleveland, ready to go. And it's just such an amazing event. So many people talk about it. We all talk about it ad nauseum, no doubt. But this is kind of an annual thing where I kind of going to lay out what the show is and why you should go. And for those that have been before and are going again, that just get you maybe a little bit excited, a little bit ready to go, amped up for the show. But I don't want to do that alone because that's not nearly as much fun as talking with my buddies. And who better to talk to than my best boy, Garrett. Card cutter.
What is going on, you guys? This is awesome, man. We are almost at that time of the year, man, where it's like Disneyland for all of us. So I'm excited.
It is like Disneyland for all of us. You even got a sign lit up. I'm glad you got the neon on today. That means a lot to me that you turned it on and are spending those valuable electricity dollars to add production value to this show. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's why it's on. Yes.
Dude, Garrett, let's just start at the top. Why should anybody give a rat's butt about the National? Big deal. It's just another show. Who cares? Why is it why all the hype?
I'll look at it kind of like two different ways. If you're in the YouTube community, no matter how big or how small, if you don't have a channel, if you're just a commenter, if you're a content creator, it doesn't matter. Just about everybody is there, any given year. And yeah, some come and some go, and some people might have to skip a year or two because of life. But just about every year, every content creator, and it seems like almost lately every commenter is there. So there's that. If you're in the YouTube community, say you're not in the YouTube community and you're just listening to this in a podcast form and you don't know anything about the YouTube community, but obviously you like cards if you're listening to this. I mean, it has everything. You know what I mean? And you could go there for 4 or 5 days and still not see every single thing. You can come close, but it's like these dealers just pull stuff out of their pockets nonstop to put on the table. So you might have just left that table and 10 minutes later, there's more stuff that you hadn't seen. So, I mean, it's amazing. No matter if you're in the YouTube mecca or not, I think it's a must if you like sports cards.
Yeah, there's a lot of unique things about the National that aren't at your everyday show, even your big regional show, even like Dallas or Burbank or the Philly show or Chantilly. There's just something different. The vibe is just different at the National. I wish I could explain it to you. I wish I could describe it, but probably there's just so much corporate presence. There's a lot of things going on, bells and whistles, and games being played and like kids shooting baskets, and I don't know. It's just crazy atmosphere, and that adds to it. It's crowded, which again is a good thing from a hype standpoint, from a excitement standpoint. Everybody's there, it's kind of that thing. And I know so many people, Garrett, that just poo-poo it. Like, I'm not going to go. There's no reason to go. It's a waste of money. I can buy cards anywhere. And I think they're just missing the point, quite frankly. I think they're just, yes, you can all buy cards anywhere, but this is just different.
Yeah, I would say you're right. Yeah, you can. you can buy cards in other places and probably cheaper. So if that's all you care about is these cardboard photos of men that we all collect, then cool. Like, good for you. Like, there's places and avenues for that. But if you want just a little bit more, a sense of community, friendship, stuff like that, like-minded people that collect the same stuff you do, or what I think is cool, like, I don't collect a lot of things. Like, Mike collects a lot of vintage. I don't collect a lot of vintage. But you start meeting people that collect different things, and you just learn a different respect. We have a good friend that collects old boxing cards. I don't know anything about vintage boxing or modern boxing, but it's super cool to see that stuff and hear the stories behind that stuff. And you're not going to get that on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to look at this all-inclusive experience, right? More than just the card. My brother's going this year, which he's never been to a national. He's not even really into cards. He likes them, and he'll actually probably listen to this episode, but he's going he's like, dude, I watch your videos every year and it looks like y'all are having so much fun. I want to come see what that's all about. And he's just coming for that. He may buy a couple of Dansby Swanson cards or whatever, some Vanderbilt players, but he's going to just tag along and be like, Mike, I want to see what that's like for you. And that's what the National does. It's an experience. And if you don't care about that, fine. I wonder if you have a pulse if you don't care about that, because it's too much fun, right? And what we're going to do on this, go ahead, Garrett, one more point, and then I'll start talking about what
I was going to say that I think the thing, and maybe you're going to get into this, I think the thing I like maybe equal to, if not just a tiny bit more than the show, is the after show. Like, that's the party after the party for me. Getting out to have a beer or a beverage with your buddies, the guys you just met, and then you talk about what you picked up that day, what you're going to pick up tomorrow. Hey, this is what I'm looking for. I haven't seen it. Oh, I seen that at this table. Come with me tomorrow and I'll show you. And it's just so cool. And then after years of doing this, you end up not always talking about cards. You might catch up with, hey, how's your wife? How's your daughter in college doing, man? Hey, I know you were sick last year. How's this? How's that? And it just becomes really almost like a family, really, a card family.
Big family reunion, right? At the Super Bowl of the hobby. So that's what it's all about. Some quick particulars if you live under a rock in the hobby and don't know what's going on, but the best place to get any and all information on the National is their website, which I will put a link down below if you're watching this on video. But it is www.nsccshow.com. And it is happening July 24th through the 28th. And so Wednesday afternoon is the sneak peek day. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are all full days at the show. Usually 10 to 6 is kind of the time each day, Thursday through Sunday. And yeah, you can go buy tickets there at that website. You can go through a portal there to the TriStar website to learn about all the autograph guests, if that's your thing. And we're going to get into this because what I want to do, Garrett, is kind of go through each day and talk about what we like about each day and what things there are to do each day. I have heard it's possible I get some people from the National on this show to talk about some more particulars, but you mentioned the after stuff. And so we'll talk about the show itself. And then I want to talk about the stuff that happens afterwards. But that phenomenon really, for me, I think started in 2021. Garrett, you were probably on a deployment. I don't think you were there in 2021.
I was.
You were?
I was deployed. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was the start of the absolutely bananas events happening at all hours, into the wee hours. That was Chicago. And in every hotel, there was an impromptu trade night happening and guys setting up tables and trading till literally all night. So it's almost a Vegas style atmosphere where there's always something to do. If you want to find it, always something happening. What's different about Cleveland? So this year it's in Cleveland. It's at the IX Center, which is, to me, probably the least convenient place to have it. There's no hotels nearby. You have to drive everywhere or Uber everywhere. There's nothing close, no restaurants close, all that fun stuff. So that is kind of disappointing. But I think where the IX Center makes up for it is I've been to two nationals in Cleveland, 2014 and 2018. Inside, it is glorious. It is spacious. Again, they have completely renovated it since. There used to be a dang Ferris wheel in the middle of the dang thing.
That was going to be my question. If they still have the Ferris wheel there.
I think they've gotten rid of the Ferris wheel. And so I've seen the layout already. There's going to be a ass ton of tables, all kinds of stuff. But I remember it. My recollection is how spacious it was. Plenty of room to move around. It didn't feel crowded ever. But again, this was 18 was the last time they did it here. So this is pre-COVID, pre-hobby boom, pre-everything that we see today. So what I'm very curious about is how that's going to translate to from Hobby 2018 to Hobby 2024, same venue. Will it have the same feel? But inside, I can tell you my experience has been absolutely awesome. And so for all the complaints that we're all going to have about having to drive places and whatnot, once you get there, it's pretty great inside.
So I have a question for you because I've never been to Cleveland for the National. And I know it's been years, since they had it there last. But if you remember last year in Rosemont, they had all these huge rooms on the ground floor, but they were like kind of offset from each other. And so it was very difficult to kind of go up and down this row and up and down the next, like real fluid. Is the IX Center, is it going to be like just a huge one room, or is it a bunch of offset rooms that are different shapes and all that stuff?
Yeah, great point. Last time it was one giant room with a Ferris wheel that separated one side from the other. And so you would reference when you'd call your buddy and say, hey, meet me, where are you? And you always relative to the Ferris wheel, where are you? And you could, but it's definitely just row after row after row, one giant room, easy to navigate. You had PSA in an area and Beckett, all the grading companies would have their space. The TriStar Autograph Pavilion in a separate space, but it's all contained within the four walls of the main, convention space. So
yeah, that'll be nice because it was kind of, I guess, the beauty and the curse of the hobby getting so popular of last year. Man, I'd be like, man, did I go down this row? Have I not been down this row? Where have I been? Where have I haven't been? And your wallet definitely won't tell you where you've been and haven't been, because it just, as soon as you walk in that place, seems like it disappears.
Yeah, it'll be more conducive to that. I've seen the layout. It's not in my brain right this second, but they've sold out tables, so it will be packed in a good way. So you and I are getting there on Tuesday, and I know I just told you guys that the show starts on Wednesday, and that's true. Officially, the show starts on Wednesday. Let's just say we're going to go give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. We're going to be there during setup day, which is Monday and Tuesday. We'll be there Tuesday. And believe it or not, it's already kind of hopping. It's definitely not everybody's set up. Not everybody's there, but there's plenty of deals to be had, plenty of transactions happening on Tuesday. And then Tuesday night, there's probably not a lot going on, just because like we may hit a ball game or something, but there's not a lot going on officially because the show hasn't even technically started yet. But the party really starts, Garrett, Wednesday morning. And I know last year you got to go Wednesday morning for the first time, to be there basically when the doors opened at 8 a.m. The show doesn't open till 1 p.m. What was it like being there early?
Yeah, that was a different experience for me. I'm not like a super big YouTuber or anything. I normally don't get stuff like that. I hear about it and I see it, but I normally don't get that opportunity. And that was really, really different. Walking around, being able to look at tables without saying, excuse me, oh, pardon me, excuse me, or getting bumped into or whatever. So that was really, really wild. And then the doors open, and just like that, it's like a cattle herd comes in. So yeah, it was super cool. I mean, the doors aren't open yet to the general public, so not everything is set up, but for the most part, it is. And man, it's if you ever get that opportunity, take advantage of it. I know not everyone can get it, and I probably won't get it this year, to be honest with you. But if you get that opportunity, by all means, take advantage of it and enjoy it.
Yeah, Wednesday is my favorite day, period. Just because it's obviously the excitement, the build up to it actually being here is kind of like, oh my gosh, okay, we're here. This is really happening, because we usually talk about it for months and months or a year from the last one, right? And so you finally get that relief of it being here. And then I love the ability to have everything to choose from. I talk about this a lot, that I won't get as many deals. Everybody's, later in the week, dealers get maybe not desperate, but more likely to deal as cards sit in their showcase day after day and nobody's buying at their price. They're more willing to deal potentially, and I get that. But for me, it's more about having everything hasn't been picked through yet. Collectors haven't been in there buying and taking all the good stuff, I'll air quotes, good stuff, before I've gotten a chance to see it. And so what I use Wednesday for, I definitely buy some things, but if I have a few key cards that I'm really thinking about, like I want to make sure I get one of these, when better to find as many choices as possible than Wednesday, morning, and then during the sneak preview time on Wednesday afternoon. And it's so much fun in the morning. It's just as fun in the afternoon, just more people, right? But you finally start getting to see your friends and say hi. But that opportunity to be selective about which card I want to add, if it's a bigger card, then or if it's littler stuff that will get gobbled up
Right.
in a few hours. I want to make sure I get a chance to see that. So my goal always Wednesday is to walk the whole floor, be it a cursory view, no doubt. I'm not sitting and diving into every table, but getting through and kind of just getting a kind of 30,000-foot view, lay of the land, what's going on here, where is everything, where's PSA, where's all this other stuff, where there's where's Topps booth, where's this. And yeah, that's kind of the goal of mine on Wednesday. Did you have a goal on Wednesday of what you were trying to accomplish, or just
Last year? No, I was just honestly just trying to soak it all in, because like I said, I never had that opportunity before, so I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, you've told me that stuff about Wednesday for years. So it being my first time, it felt so awkward not being hit, like not being stepped on or pushed or whatever. It was like, wow, am I really at the National? Like, no one's hitting me.
I do remember you cozying up to a guy who had a ton of autographs, card, on card autographs and stuff. And I was like, all right, we've lost Garrett for a little while. He's going to be here a bit. And I remember you just like, oh my gosh, this guy has such great stuff.
I remember, you and I are both big autograph guys, and I guess you've dealt with this guy or worked with this dealer in years past. And yeah, you introduced me to him, and man, this dude had binders and binders of like 4-inch, 5-inch binders, like just full of vintage football cards and baseball cards and basketball cards. Like you name the sport, he had binders and binders of it. And I was like, oh man, like I felt like I needed to get a sleeping bag, because I was about to be there for quite a while. And I spent a good amount of money with him, but it was super enjoyable. It's really enjoyable.
And that's the kind of stuff you find at a show like the National, right? Wednesday goes later. They're open, I think, 1 to 8 p.m. is, if I remember right. Again, check everything I tell you here, double check me on the website, nsccshow.com, because I might have things off just a little bit. So don't take this as gospel, but I do know it runs later Wednesday. It's the longest in terms of how long it's open, late at night, till 8. Usually by 6, I'm dead tired, ready to go. And I've seen enough for that day, and it gets so crowded, right? It's like, okay, enough for tonight. But there's usually not a lot going on afterwards on Wednesday because it is the sneak preview. The show is open later, so there's officially not a whole lot of events going on. But I will tell you guys, whatever hotel you're in, there is most likely going to be something going on after the show in terms of just an impromptu trade night, people hanging out at the bar, showing cards, selling cards, buying cards, all that good stuff is going to be happening. I can almost guarantee it because that feels normal now in this new environment of the hobby. In a good way, like it's a wonderful thing. I'm not anyway.
It seems like now, like the week of the National, I almost say it's like Vegas. Like in Las Vegas, if you want to go gamble, you can go down at any time of the day and go gamble.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost what the Nationals become with sports cards. Like if you want to wheel and deal at sports cards, I mean, some of the younger collectors, not me, like guys in their 20s, I mean, they're going to be down there at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, wheeling and dealing, shooting the breeze, so there's an audience for that. And it's just, for 5, 6 days straight, if you want to buy sports cards in whatever city it is, the opportunity's there.
Yeah. Next up is Thursday. Thursday is for a lot of people, their first day of, they'll usually get in Wednesday-ish and come in Thursday, or that's usually when a lot of people start their show week. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's one of my favorite days. It is packed usually. Thursday and Friday have been more packed than Saturday, Sunday in the last few years, which is just baffled me. You'd think there'd be more people. Logically, more people would come on the weekend because they're off work or they're whatever. But no, it's been Thursday and Friday have been the, nuts to butts days where you can't even hardly walk around. But Thursday's great. It's the first full day of the show. People are still excited. Nobody's really worn down yet of the length of the week. And so there's still a lot of excitement in the air. And the show goes again 10 to 6, I believe.
Yep, that's about right.
And we'll get to kind of some do's and don'ts later, but I want to go through the schedule as quick as I can. But Thursday night is one of my favorite nights. There's 2 things typically going on. Number one, you typically have the official National Trade Night, which is run by Ryan Johnson, who is Card Collector 2 on YouTube. He started that years and years ago. A couple of years ago, it became an officially sanctioned national event. And he and his team do an amazing job. They have sponsors, and it's just, I've never been because I'll tell you why in a minute, but it's just packed and people love the heck out of that. So if that's your scene, that's usually the night that happens. It's also, the reason I've never been is it also corresponds with, we do a YouTube get together. And until literally before we hit record, we were unsure of where that was going to be, but we can tell you now here officially, this will be the first official announcement of where this is going to be. We're going to be having a get together. Basically, if you're listening to my voice, you're invited. If you can hear this and you are listening, you are invited to that. Because people ask me all the time, is it only for content creators? No. It's for everybody. We want everybody in the community to have a point in time, a place to go, hang out, to talk cards, to show off their pickups, all those good things. And we're going to be doing that this year at the American Legion. And I'm going to read you the address. I'll put this information also in the comments or the description below. But it's 19944 Sheldon Road. And that's going to start at 6 o'clock and run till 9-ish or so. We've secured that facility. It's an American Legion facility, if I hadn't said that already. And we've secured that. And we're going to have pizza there for everybody and a good time. We'll have a bartender, so there'll be beer and alcohol if that's your thing. You can partake in that. We'll have sodas and water and all that stuff too. But yeah, that'll be Thursday night. And that is far and away, for me and a lot of other people, their favorite time of the show is getting together with, it's just meant to be, hey, let's all meet here. And if you can come, great. You can come and go. So if you want to go to the trade night for a little while and then pop over to the American Legion, that's awesome too. This isn't meant to be, this is the only thing you have to do that night. Obviously, you can do whatever you want, but we'd love you to show up and partake in that. Garrett, any thoughts about the get together?
Yeah, before we get any further, I'd like to give a shout out to Dave, Legends of the Dugout, on YouTube. You and I were racking our brains yesterday, calling people, Googling different places for, larger gatherings. I think I called 5 or 6 places, and we couldn't find anything. And then Dave reached out to Mike on Instagram and was like, hey, man, there's an American Legion. This is their number. They said they can accommodate this. It's going to cost this. And like, he just made it so easy where all you had to do was make a phone call, and that was a wrap. So thank you, Dave, for doing that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And as far as that night for me, it's like, as soon as like I wake up Thursday morning, I'm already thinking like, man, today's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Like, I already know, like, man, like, it's going to be a tough one today, which is funny because it's only day 2, but Wednesday was so long because, we got in super early and then they closed later than normal. So Wednesday was already a behemoth. And then here you come into Thursday and they open at normal time, which is what, 10 or 9:30, something like that.
9:30 for VIPs.
You already know there's the YouTube meet and greet that night. And then, for me, I normally will leave that event like at 11 or midnight. But man, like, it just makes for such a great day. I normally will try to leave the show just a smidge early and take a little nap if I can get one in and get off my feet for a little bit before I head to the meet and greet. But yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights. I know in the circle we run in, all of our buddies, that's definitely one of the highlights for all of us.
Well, I'm just glad we've got it figured out. That was a little bit of a stressor for a little bit, but we've gotten that figured out and excited to announce that. Friday, again, normal show day, 10 to 6, but you've got Friday's kind of the start of the weekend. Typically, again, as I said, feels like always the busiest day because you have people that may only stay during the week and go home on the weekends, crossing over with the people coming in to stay the rest of the weekend. So maybe that's the explanation as to why it just feels like the busiest day. This year I get to do something really cool. I think you're going to the Diamond King.
Yeah, Mr. Perez, his event.
Yeah, so Dick Perez, they did a documentary. Mark Evans is his name. He's the director, creator, whatever, writer of that. They did a documentary on the life and times of Dick Perez, his career in cardboard and just life. And it's a fascinating story. I've interviewed Mr. Perez several times and talked to him several more. And I love, obviously, if you guys follow my channel or follow anything that I talk about, I'm a big Dick Perez fan, and all the stuff that he's done for cards, from Diamond Kings to Hall of Fame postcards to you name it. Well, there's a premiere of that movie, of that documentary, Friday night at 6:30, I believe.
I think that's correct.
And so, exclusive event, by the way, I think they're already sold out. So I'm not telling you that to rub it in your face if you haven't secured your ticket, but that's something that's going on. I don't know, Garrett, I haven't heard this year if Fanatics/Topps is going to be doing their annual Q&A session. And usually that's on Thursday nights, typically.
So if you remember last year, it was like the week before, and we didn't know if they were going to do it then.
Right.
And then it ended up being like a lottery system last year for the first time ever.
That's right.
I think you won the lottery, and I definitely did not.
Yes. Yeah, because that's limited to 150 people, typically. I don't know. Again, the IX Center might have a room that can hold more, and they might do. We genuinely don't know anything about that yet. What I would tell you is pay attention to Topps on Instagram and Twitter, and they'll definitely put something out there. They're going to announce it. Although last year I think it was kind of secret, wasn't it?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of information out about it. That's for sure.
I do. Yeah, you had to actually sign up on your phone, on your app, and then they would text you if you got a ticket, if you got one of the 150 tickets, and out of however many people signed up for the opportunity to do that. That's right. So that will be most likely, I would guess it's going to happen and just pay attention to all the socials for Tops and Fanatics to get more details on that of when and where and how that's all going to work. So I can't really tell you any more than that because we simply don't know.
I know a little tip I would have, if you have Instagram, maybe go to Top's page and follow them. Go to Fanatics page, follow them. Go to Upper Decks, follow them. So on and so forth. And you can unfollow them, the next week afterwards. But you're going to be seeing a bunch of events. Like Topps normally has some low-key celebrities at their booth or artists at their booth. And they don't really put that stuff out in advance. But if you're on their Instagram, you'll get a notification. Hey, today at this time, we're having artist Blake Jameson. Or I think last year they had some of the actors from Sandlot when they were adults now, but the baseball movie with the kids. And they'll put all that information out on their Instagram and the time, and they don't normally put that stuff out 2 days in advance. It's normally like that morning.
Right.
And another thing I would suggest is go to nsccshow.com, and at the very bottom there's an area that says stay informed, subscribe today, and you just put in your email address and you'll get a lot of that information. That's how I found out about the Dick Perez event, which was free. I got an email from the National and it said, hey, sign up, so I signed up, and you'll get more emails about different things that are coming up instead of maybe you're lucky and stumble across some of the information.
Yeah, they usually put out a daily in the morning. They'll put out a daily schedule of events and all. Believe me, the things Garrett and I are talking about is a fraction of everything that's going on around the show any given day. We cannot possibly tell you all about it. There's just too much to tell. We're telling you kind of some things we gravitate towards, but you need to go investigate yourself because you will find something. Oh, I really want to do that. Man, that's what the whole point of it is to find cool experiences and things that you want to do. So Garrett and I would both encourage you to stay informed. Like Garrett said, go to the website, sign up for all these things. Just even if it's temporary, even if it's for the next couple of months till the National's over, you want to know what's going on. And you may say no to most everything, but there might be that one thing that you hear about later and I wish I would have known, I would have done that. Don't be that guy. Be the
what
guy.
about this one, Mike? I'm assuming if you're listening to this or watching this, that you probably buy sports cards on eBay. And just about every year, at least that I can think of for the past 3 or 4 years, at some point during the week, eBay gives out these like $10 coupons or these $10 discount cards. They put out that information on when they're going to be giving that stuff out, So that's another Instagram that you would follow that maybe you would think like, why the heck would I follow eBay on Instagram? Well, stuff like that.
And again, temporary, right? You don't have to do it forever. Saturday is typically the day that I leave. That's when I'm leaving this year. So Saturday is usually a half to 3/4 day for me, not a full day, because I'm getting on a plane to fly home, which will be true again this year. But again, after having been there Tuesday through Saturday, I'm usually very ready to go home. And that's not to say that I haven't had an absolute time of my life. That's not the point. You're just so dog tired. Your wheels are falling off. You're just so exhausted because I do try to take some breaks. And that's a tip I would give you. Garrett mentioned he had a little tip, and that's true. I've met him, but
awkward.
Awkward moment. No, we'll give you some tips and stuff here in a minute, but Saturday, full day at the show. Again, traditionally very busy. Sunday is that day. Dealers are ready to go. They're ready to pack up, and you might be able to find some better deals. I remember years ago, this is obviously all pre-COVID, but man, they were blowing out boxes at all the different wax dealers, and guys they were just like, we just don't want to take this stuff home, so we'll sell it cheap. And if that's your thing, and that's the day you want to be there for that kind of stuff, I would say. What do you think, Garrett, about the weekend?
Yeah, well, because of you, I leave on Saturdays now too. My two best friends in life just happen to both be named Mike, and they both leave on Saturdays. So they leave, so I leave. But yeah, I mean, how many years now have we heard stories about Sunday? And like, if you want to buy out, say, someone's dollar boxes, the dealer might sell them to you at 50 cents a piece. And just, yeah, towards the end of Saturday and all day Sunday, if you're looking to wheel and deal, that's when you definitely want to be there. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? All right. So we've kind of gone through the schedule every day. There's always something to do. You can hopefully glean that from this discussion. Uh, I I'm telling you, taking breaks. If you're only there a day, I get why you would just go 90-0 and not stop. If you're there for 3 or 4 days, you need to be taking some breaks. That's wise. What sucks though is you can't just walk to your hotel like you can in Chicago. It's not like you can just run back to your room and take a 30-minute power nap. Um, in this case, because you got to get to your car or find an Uber, and it's an ordeal. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out this year for me. I'm definitely going to have to find a dark corner and sit down for a little while. There's definitely food there, water, concessions and stuff like that. You're going to pay concession prices. There's no haggling. You have to pay sticker. Sorry to tell you guys, on the hot dogs and bottled water and soda, all that kind of good stuff. But and there are tables. I remember, again, it could be very different from what I remember, quite frankly, given the remodel that they did. But taking breaks is smart. What's a thing you would throw out besides wearing comfortable shoes, which is
That's like everybody's like number one. It's like, yeah, no kidding. I wasn't going to wear my stilettos to the National this year. Yeah, the break thing, like that's something I think I really wouldn't have thought of, to be honest with you. And then last year, I'm in the middle of flipping through cards and I get a text from Mike and, hey, let's go to lunch. And I'm thinking like, you freaking nuts, dude. Like, I'm looking through cards, man. I'm shooting the breeze with my buddies. Like, no, I'm not going to lunch. And I ended up going to lunch, and that had its own memories and enjoyment and all that. And then I just remember sitting down at the table and being like, oh God, like my feet, to get off your legs a little bit and kind of rejuvenate and have, something light. I definitely wouldn't suggest putting down a brisket platter or a thing of ribs or nothing. You probably want to get something kind of light, and it kind of rejuvenates you to get back out there. I will say, I guess a tip that I would have is there's so much going on. At least something I have to tell myself is like, you need to enjoy some of the smaller things. You know what I mean? Like, so one of the main reasons I go there is because of my friends. So it's not always about, hey, let's go to this card table. Let's go to this card table. Let's go get these autographs. Like, I need to specifically make time to hang out with my buddies. And if you don't have any buddies, Mike already told you about the YouTube meet and greet. I'd say I know probably 95% of those guys, and none of them other than Mike is a horse's ass. So, go ahead and introduce yourself and meet some like-minded people. And it really escalates the collecting to a whole new level once you start, meeting like-minded people.
Yeah, I've heard stories of people that didn't know anyone. They were lurkers or followers, commenters on YouTube, and they would come to the meet and greet, and now they have a ton of friends and people that they met just from that event. And so it can be a catalyst to, like Garrett said, to take your hobby to another level from a just pure enjoyment standpoint, and people to share it with. And that's the joy of it. That's part of it.
Like our buddy Otto Olson.
Yes.
He came to the YouTube meetup on Thursday night, and he came up to me and it's like, do you know who I am? I'm like, I have no freaking clue who you are. Because he's a commenter, he doesn't make videos, right, or you don't see that face. And he's like, Otto Olson. I'm like, oh my gosh, hey, like, man, it's super cool to meet you. And then I remember I took him to Canadian Cards, Mike, and was like, guess who this is? And Mike's like, I have no effing clue, dude. Like, so yeah, like, no matter how big or small you are in YouTube or in the hobby, like, by all means, man, go introduce yourself. Put yourself out there just a tiny bit. I can almost promise you, you're not going to regret it.
Almost promise.
Well, like you're there, so there's that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I love you too. Definitely a fun thing. Obviously you're going to be carrying a bag, or if you're Josh, rated rookie, you're wheeling your suitcase around with you. I always tease Josh about that because he's always carrying an entire suitcase. I'm like, dude, how much stuff do you have in the suitcase? But you're going to be, fighting the Pelly boys and, trying to get a dealer's attention and all that stuff. So I would tell everyone a tip is to have patience and just be kind to one another. It is what it is. It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to get hot and bothered by just people, right? So stay patient. But I would tell you to have a focus of some kind. And what I mean by that is not necessarily a particular card that you're looking for, although you might have that. For me, I kind of put together a top 10, top 20. Like, these are cards I'm kind of targeting. It's not that I have to find them, but they allow me to at least hone in on something, because the overwhelmingness of it is real. If you've never seen it, I'm telling you, if you're going for the first time this year, it will blow you away. It blows me away still every year I go. I walk in and go, holy crap, how am I going to see everything in this room? And it can really just distract you, and easy to get, following squirrels, hobby squirrels. And so having something that will keep you focused, if you're building a set or you're looking for a particular player or a certain card, just have kind of a list of that on your phone or written down. But having a list, period, of what you're wanting, whether, for me, it's 500 cards or whatever, I'm going to have that whole list accessible to me, ready to go, so that, believe me, I've bought cards plenty that I already had. And I get home and I get frustrated and I'm like, dang it, that's $20 that could have gone towards something I didn't have. And I now have 2 of these. What am I going to do with that? So having a way to stay organized, staying focused, or just some things that just common sense, right? But it's easy to lose that perspective in the moment, Garrett, right? You're just there and you walk in and,
When you were saying that, it made me think of, the Mike Tyson saying, if everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
right.
And it's like, everyone has a plan for the National till you walk in that place.
Right.
And then it's like system overload. You start seeing things that you didn't know you needed, or you didn't know you wanted, or, oh man, I remember that from 20 years ago. I'm going to buy this. Just impulse buy after impulse buy. And so for me, a list helps, but it doesn't help that much.
Right.
Because there's just so much stuff. I'll forget to look at my list. But it definitely helps, where, maybe on your lunch break or at the end of the night, you can be like, oh, okay, maybe need to get back to center keel here on what I thought I needed when I was in a normal mindset in my house or what have you.
Yeah. And having, again, all these are kind of bricks to the forehead. I get it, but it never hurts to be reminded that, man, bring your own top loaders, bring penny sleeves, bring perfect fit sleeves if you're buying slabs or whatever, because the last thing you want to do, to me, floor time is valuable time. And I don't want to spend that time hunting for supplies, or I want to be looking for cards, or I want to be talking to friends. And so we only have so much time on the show floor. Bring all that stuff ahead of time. And yeah, you find some deal and you run out. Okay, fine. But don't just go into it not preparing, right? The old Boy Scouts, be prepared, right?
The bringing the top loaders, it makes me think last night when we were talking to our buddy JT Triple Crown, and he was telling us about some of the cards he bought this past weekend at a show in a dollar box. And he was showing us like $40 and $50 cards that he found in dollar boxes. Well, most dollar boxes cards are just in penny sleeves. You know what I mean? So if you just got a heck of a deal and you just found this $50 card, and now it's only in a penny sleeve and you don't have a top loader, well, you might damage it enough and now it's a $20 card.
Right.
So you definitely want to be prepared for that situation, because I know for me that happened multiple times last year. It really did.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And parking your butt at a dollar box and going to town, dude, that I see guys do that for days on end and they have a blast doing it. And I'm more of a showcase buyer. Either way, you can have so much fun. Like, it does not matter what your style of collecting is. That itch is going to get scratched at this show, and you're going to be able to find kind of you'll be able to find your people no matter which area of the hobby you love the most. It's going to be there and represented well, and you're going to have a good time and probably separate your wallet from your money very easily.
I sat down at a lot of dollar boxes at last year's show, and my intent was I was trying to find stuff to send to ComC. And table after table, I would sit down, and you end up sitting next to someone for 10, 15, 60 minutes, whatever it may be. And just a simple, hey, man, like, what are you looking for? I'm going through these. If I find it, okay, yeah, I'm looking for this. What are you looking for? And then you just kind of build these relationships that way. Oh, by the way, I'm Garrett. Oh, hey, I'm Jason. And it just, starts out that innocent, man. And it's super cool.
A couple things I want to just touch on real quick because we're running out of time here for this episode. But again, there'll be more episodes on this. Believe me, guys, and you'll be able to see other things out there. But their PSA, SGC, CGC, and Beckett will all be on site, all accepting submissions. PSA will certainly be grading on site. So you turn your card in on a Tuesday, you get it back or Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you get there, and you get it back by end of show for a certain price point. There's a certain value limit on that as well. So just be aware of that. All of those details have yet to be released. No grading company that I have seen has released what their national plan is in terms of how they're going to be grading. Last year, SGC was accepting submissions, but they were taking them back to Boca Raton, grading the cards, and then mailing them out, but you could drop them off. CGC was doing on-site grading, and Beckett was doing on-site grading. Each, again, has a different price point. With PSA, you can also drop off as well, and they'll take them back, and you don't have to get them graded on site and pay the extra money to get them back. I typically do that. I think most years I'll have a couple of cards that are valuable enough that I'd rather just get them back, and I kind of pay up just to get them graded and get them done and not have to go back to California or Jersey to get taken care of. But that's unusual. It's not something I take advantage of a lot. I think CGC last year was $15 a card on site, which is crazy cheap. So I know a lot of our friends that partook in that, taking advantage of that. There is something about putting a card in, Garrett, on a Tuesday and getting it back on a Friday. That's a pretty cool feeling when you get the text or the email that says, "Hey, your cards are ready," and I'm like, "I just gave them to you. What the heck?" You kind of forget about how much you paid to get that done. If I was to guess, I'm going to say PSA is going to be around $150 a card. But if you have a $3,000 card that would cost $150 anyway to grade, then
makes sense.
Just get it done. Then there's the autograph pavilion, which is usually where Garrett and I lose the most money to the national or spending the most money. I think I was correct the first time, lose the most money.
Yeah, you're correct about that.
That was a Freudian slip that was accurate. But the TriStar website will have all the different guests. I would advise you to go look at their prices, look at the day and time that they're signing, look at what stipulations they have depending on the type of item that you want to get signed. I know, like for Cal Ripken as an example, he will not sign any non-licensed things. So for me, I'd want to get a custom press steel card done. It's basically a little art piece. Well, that's off the table for him to sign. So don't get there hoping you're going to get something signed and find out that there are these restrictions based on who's signing. Those are all laid out currently on the TriStar website per signer. So just make sure you're getting the right thing for what you want to get done. Garrett, I'll let you talk about autographs quite a bit because I know that's Like, what are your thoughts? What's some advice you'd give people? Those types of things about the autograph pavilion.
Um, I'll say this: the autograph pavilion, it's not cheap. It's just not. They have to fly these guys in. They put them up in a hotel, and then they pay them to be there. So it's not cheap. I'm looking right now at Reggie Jackson. He's $188. Can you go on eBay and buy a certified Reggie Jackson autograph for cheaper than $188? Probably.
You
Sure
better.
Yeah. But you don't get to meet him and, introduce yourself or shake your hand. It's just cool seeing the guy sign it right in front of you. And it just makes an experience, for you, or it makes a memory, I should say. One thing I like to do every year, and it goes back to what Mike was saying about losing money. This isn't something I'd be able to flip if you're into that. And make money right away. But I normally like to go all out and get like a high grade rookie of somebody and get the autograph and like 3 inscriptions and get something super unique. And last year for me, it was Joe Montana last year. And with the autograph ticket and all the inscriptions, I paid like $1,500. And those cards sell for about 1,000 to 1,200. So I definitely lost money, but every time I look at that card, I think like, man, I was at the National in Chicago. I got this. And this year I've already spent the money. I've already paid the guy that's going to get it signed for me. It's Albert Pujols, so I bought a 2001 retrofractor. I've already paid for the autograph and the 3 inscriptions. And so once again, what I paid into it, I would never be able to get back. But it's just that memory that every year or every time I look at that retrofractor, I'm going to think, man, I was in Cleveland and this is what happened in Cleveland. But there's just so many people there in the autograph pavilion throughout the, 4 or 5 days, whatever it is. Once again, if you collect sports cards, I cannot imagine that there's not a player there that you wouldn't like to, meet or get an autograph of or get a picture with. You don't even have to get an autograph. Some of them you have to pay, but you can get a picture taken with them, if you're not into autographs. So
Yeah.
The autograph pavilion brings up a whole different dynamic than the show itself. There's some guys that I know that go to the autograph pavilion with a lawn chair and literally stay there all week and don't even go to the show. So it's really what you're into,
Yeah. One last thing I'll leave you guys with. A final tip is be on the lookout. Have your antennas up all the time because there's different vendors for different products, hobby related things that are walking around and they're promoting their product. They're trying to get their name out there. So they are giving away the kitchen sink. You can get so many freebies, so much stuff. Just be aware of that. You can come home with more free crap than it cost you to get there sometimes. Last year, Garrett and I had the chance to walk away with boxes and boxes of remember this?
Yeah.
We could have had so many pages, 9 pocket pages. And I'm in a binder phase of my hobby life. And I'm wanting to just get all the pages because that's a huge part of building a binder collection is having to pay for all the, pages and binders and all that. Well, BCW, I think it was, had a new type of page that they were introducing, and they were giving out sample packs of the, a little pack of 10 pages, and they're awesome. I don't know if you've used them, Garrett. They are freaking awesome.
I haven't. Mine are still sealed in the closet.
Well, then you need to give them to me because I'll use them. But they're absolutely amazing. We could have literally walked out of there. We could have loaded up our truck on Saturday, right, Garrett?
Yeah. I mean, we walked by the guy. We walked by the gentleman, and the booth was empty. Like there was no other collectors in the booth. And he was like, "Hey, y'all want one of these?" You just stop for a brief second. "Hey, what's this?" "Oh, this is our new 9-page holder, blah, blah, blah." And then Mike was like, "Well, you mind if I get 2?" And the guy was like, "Hell, you could have a box. I don't care." And that's all it took. That was it. And like, if we would have drove, I mean, Mike could have freaking been selling pages for a living because that dude was ready to give us all of the boxes. So
we opened up their storage, their little booth, and showed box. And I'm like, he's like, how many do you want? And I'm like, I can't take any. I'll take it. I grabbed a stack of the little pocket pages, and I've gone through them, by the way. They are phenomenal, but just have heightened awareness for that. Those things are out there. Don't just walk by. But if somebody's giving away a free sample of something, I'd suggest trying it out,
And I'd say maybe some of the younger viewers or listeners, Whatnot has a huge presence there. I'm not a huge Whatnot guy myself, but I'm aware of how popular they are in the hobby right now. And they have just giveaways and coupons and discount codes and all kinds of random things. They had like a carnival games there last year that you could get prizes. And these are way better prizes than you get at the fair, man. Let me tell you, for free, and so you just have to take the time to check it out. And so that, Mike's right. I mean, if you turn your head, there's probably a deal there to be had.
Yeah. Take advantage of that. Tops will be doing giveaways and box breaks and all. If you're a kid, if you have kids that you're taking to the National, they can clean up if you're just aware of what's going on around you. There's all kinds of opportunities because we want kids to be in the hobby. We want them to have a great experience. That's something that I think the hobby in general does a pretty good job of encouraging. And so just be aware.
One thing real quick, one thing I think is so kind of weird and different and unique to the National that I've never seen at any other show is because so many people fly in and you only have so much space in your luggage. There'll be people that buy boxes and cases of cards and they'll just leave all the commons, and you might walk by a trash can and there's 6 or 7 stacks, 12 inches high of just commons just sitting there, and you normally will see a lot of the younger kids, just going through them, man, just having the time of their life. And so it's something maybe you wouldn't think of, but it happens there every year.
So if you see Garrett at the trash can, you know what he's grabbing.
Yeah, if you see a 41-year-old kid,
he'll be grabbing all the Bowman commons, all the paper commons that aren't color out of the trash. And he's like, this is my new COMC account right here. Bowman's are us. He'll go. Well, Garrett, so much, always fun to talk the National. It's fun that it's close enough where we can actually talk about it without looking like complete idiots. I'm sure I did a good job of looking like an idiot anyway, but thank you for being here. And you and I love this event. We love the show. We love talking about it. You and I talk about it all the time, whether we're 60 days out, 30 days out, 150 days out. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. This was great. I enjoyed it.
You bet. Super easy. Hope you guys enjoyed. Took a few nuggets out of it. And we'll catch you guys next week for another episode. Have a good one and keep collecting.